guys think? Like, what singer or band sounds closest to Kirito's English dub voice?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like, would it be Fall Out Boy? Would it be Panic at the Disco?
I'm thinking more of the former, the first one. I'm not sure if the Panic at Disco would. I don't think that fits as well.
Mm.
It is close though, but.
Yeah, everyone is here.
All the
Four of
sages get
us.
together.
4 of us has risen.
Right, it's time to go then.
Yeah,
How are you all doing? How are you all doing?
doing decent.
Yeah, I was just complaining about how I'm trying to watch a fight scene, but the video keeps buffering.
Oh, that's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really mind as much if it's like a quieter scene or whatever, but when you're in the middle of a fight scene, so you can clearly see this frame's supposed to go between two more important ones, so it looks weird.
Mm.
Right.
Alright.
You guys
Shall we
are.
start?
Right, so wait, what's going to be the intro then, in terms of, tonight, we all complain. Like
Tonight, we will complain about the ark that shall not be named.
Yeah, tonight, I complain, Nain complains, Nain complains, Talon complains, everyone complains.
The creepy sage complains, the deep sage complains, the old sage complains, the sages complain.
Hey!
Let's see if I can find that video again now.
That should be the title of the video, actually. Sages complain. Or complaint of the sages.
The 4 sages are united with the complaints.
But yeah, it'd be kind of like, I picture it being like the video I just sent in, just tonight. I complain.
Ah, right, like the Top Gear thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Top Gear.
Tonight,
Yes, I
am a sage. Talon is a sage. Nain is a sage. Panzer is a sage.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where's a hat?
Top pushes comedy right there.
Of course.
That's us.
Of course.
Back when Top Gear was actually good.
Don't worry, it's just the Grand Tour now.
I mean, it's
No,
not
the Grand Tour was also good in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of what was Top Gear is now the Grand Tour, since they've just moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Top Gear with a bigger budget, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Top Gear backed by a billionaire.
We're starting with the memes. Good to know.
Yeah. Oh no. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, so when you get fired by the BBC, but then Amazon decides to take you on, and now you have a bigger budget. Oh no. Anyway.
Anyways.
We are at a good start with off-topic and memes. So, shall we start?
We're already starting.
That's a start with the memes. Always the memes.
Yes.
Alright. Let's get
Tiger,
serious.
Wait. Serious? No, serious and us do not mix.
Of course not. Until
Let's get-
later on, of course. Until
Let's get
later on.
let's get as serious as we can, but that's still not fully serious.
Is it even possible with this Discord? Some kind of, the whole thing that we're all completely chaotic and crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Of
are.
course.
We will be.
It's not like it's not like it's good chaotic, neutral chaotic, or evil chaotic. It's just chaotic. It doesn't go on the
Too much.
spectrum at all.
Yeah.
How much
We're just
chaos
all
do you want?
everywhere on the spectrum.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Everywhere on the spectrum, it's anywhere on the spectrum at all times. Doesn't matter what happens. Always
Yeah.
is on the spectrum. Somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
I wonder if the video will be able to receive my voice changer.
Perhaps.
Like, I'm gonna try this a bit.
It should do as long as it's through Discord, right?
Yeah,
so.
I think so.
Hmm.
Wait, can you guys hear my voice changer? Is it coming through?
I'm not noticing much of a difference.
No.
Give me a
Still
minute.
usual epic voice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's working.
There we go. Much better.
We have a Darth Vader in the Discord.
Now you just sound like you're sitting about 5 feet away from a radio.
Like 5 feet away? Like, can you not hear me that well?
Lot of static.
It's like a radio that's on max volume and you're 5 feet away from it. It's loud.
Oh,
No, we're able to hear you.
I apologize.
It was an experience.
Doesn't mean if it's too loud, it's like we can't just turn you down.
Please, come out with your hands up. You're under arrest.
That was it. It's a megaphone. That's what it sounds like you've got.
Like the police are about to arrest us.
FBI. Oh, hold on. FBI, open up.
You need more emotion in your voice for that one.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Open up.
And then just door comes flying through.
I didn't do nothing.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something right.
Alright. Yeah.
Well, that's anticlimactic. Wait a minute.
The meanwhile begins. Again. Alright. Should we start with complaining or talk about a bit about something else, like Panzer?
We could start with vetoing if you want, just so we can have a bit more positivity rather than just complaining for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, let's go
That
with that.
sounds terrific. I'd love to sit and talk about baiting before we complain for 2 hours.
Who else would want to speak about that? Because so I'm definitely talking about it.
Reader. I couldn't speak about that.
Right.
I'm gonna be there.
Ah, marvelous. So that's 2.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Isham.
Silence.
So wait. So should we begin now, or?
Yeah, I think we have already started with the memes.
We've already started with the memes.
We already started.
Well,
Well, that's awkward then.
If you can't beat them, join them.
You can't beat them, join them.
The last 5 minutes, we've just kind of been sitting in silence and occasionally saying something. Turns out we've already started.
Oh dear.
Then let's start
Well, that's awkward.
officially. Episode 2 of the podcast is on. And I'm recording. Go away.
Oh boy.
Most unorganized podcast ever. Okay.
We
It's
never
like-
claimed otherwise.
We tried.
The problem
We
is,
tried to organise.
We did our
the
best.
problem
It
was,
worked.
that was episode 1, and that was like episode 0. Sorry, and that was the most chaotic one somehow, even though it was planned.
random meme that I
Yeah,
found.
it's good. It's just the beginning seems very awkward.
Always, it's always the beginning is the hardest before we really get into it.
You gotta have the energy. There's no energy here. It's so sad.
Yes, guys, let's go. We've got this.
Okay.
Let's consider now to be the beginning, and then we can continue on from there. How about that?
Yeah, I'm not cutting out the first part.
Okay, so that can be the awkwardness of people just sitting around not sure what to say, and except just the occasional meme. Okay.
For the memes.
No, that would get boring pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like what you put in front of like an intro or something, where it's like just a tiny snippet of it, just so it draws your audience in.
Yeah, that wouldn't draw the audience.
You know what? Why don't we just go straight to the complaining? Why are there so many big-titted elf girls?
Because the anime world is weird.
And quite diverse, if I do say so myself.
Because they need to draw in their audience somehow. So how would you draw in some random people into it, which may or may not be interested in fantasy?
No, the question should be, let's see, how do I draw in a very horny teenage demographic? Oh, I know.
By ruining the story and adding in a whole bunch of crazy other stuff.
Bingo.
Yes. And
I mean, you say
less said about the better.
You say ruining the story, but the story would have to be good in the first place for that to happen, wouldn't it?
That is very true.
Yes.
It's
like the sequel that no one wanted.
Reki Kawahara, we probably don't know if you're even seeing this or not, but please,
Oh no!
please do better.
Please,
Imagine Reki Kawahara sitting with his ass in a body pillow, just listening to us talk
And just listening to us bitch about his work.
They know nothing.
Well, you can't really blame Reki for all of the stuff that happens in the anime, though, because not everything that happens in the anime actually happens in the book.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
true.
even-
Everything it is.
We don't
I haven't
even
read the
know
book,
if
so I
he
wouldn't
speaks
know.
English or understands English.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he does.
yeah. I think it doesn't really help in terms of regards for everything else. Is that this, along with quite a bit of the rest of the franchise, did help trigger a much more in terms of anime, which do base themselves in terms of what their inspiration was from this. So I can blame this for all of the rubbish in the future, in terms of let's not really put much of an emphasis on story in that. Let's just create these characters which people are just going to really enjoy, even though there's not much going on with them.
Yeah.
True.
Basically, Fairy Dance just basically proves that Kawahara didn't really plan on writing a long story when he first wrote SAO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Reki had originally just written just the first novel. I think, is it just one or is it two? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. I haven't read them in forever. He originally wrote them and put them online and didn't intend to actually write a series off of it. So that would explain why it
I remember that.
was crazy.
It
And
was for a
He
competition.
probably didn't expect it to be successful in the first place.
Just imagine, maybe we will do the same, post something that we will never think will go anywhere, and in the end, it will be a whole series, anime, manga.
All the merch, all
I don't know every reader has that
you
confidence in
cannot
that
have,
I can do it.
as a creator, it's literally impossible for you to make something that's good, or even remotely good, or even theoretically interesting, and have there not be fan art. Always with the fan art.
Yep.
Proof
I can say that from
34.
Let's just say, the fan art is cursed and blessed at the same time.
Less said all about the better.
I've seen the cursed side of the fan art, and it's not good.
I have too.
Please keep.
And there are many days where I wish that the cursed stuff just didn't exist, because then it'd be so much easier to look through fan art and not feel like you need bleach.
So it's like every time you look at fan art and whatever, you just get Vietnam flashbacks of all of the cursed stuff.
PTSD.
Not necessarily.
PTSD in it, yeah. There you go.
Don't say that.
But yes, anyway, back onto the actual topic of the show itself. One thing I do enjoy about it is the background.
Delete that GIF. I'm going to delete that in case YouTube doesn't like it.
Which one?
The Stewie one.
Yeah? Sorry.
But yeah, the background of the game itself, as in the Alpha Online, I do find somewhat enjoyable for all of the bases and that, and their special abilities and how they've it can be like a power struggle between them. Even though it's only mentioned for like 5 seconds, I do find that personally enjoyable.
Yeah, the actual world itself is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think I really don't like the war. I think that basically they just Kirito jumps into the virtual world, goes to save the girl, and just leaves. I think he's essentially a gamer. Why should he not have played before? Like, I don't know, his sister invites him to play with her because reasons.
Reasons.
I think that could describe quite a lot, actually, just reasons.
Reasons.
Oh yeah, I don't
Completely
think it's been
random.
mentioned yet, but we should probably say this for the podcast listeners. Yeah, we're reviewing the fairy dance arc from the SAO anime.
If that wasn't obvious already.
You guys forgot to mention that what you guys are actually talking about.
It's going well so far.
Chaos!
Fantastic.
We live in chaos for
Just
the
hear the
chaos.
names and he jumps into
Absolutely
it. Say the wait, what
spectacular.
we're talking about here? Yeah?
Although I hopefully, I imagine from mentioning previously about a direct sequel of the original Sword Art Online, and hopefully that would have all connected together. But just in case anyone who didn't understand all of that, all the things before, just by saying what it actually is, hopefully everyone now is on the same page.
Hopefully.
Fully. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, also with it connecting with SAO now, was it like things like 300 people were still technically trapped and being experimented on or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did no one connect the fact that this guy had just bought quite a bit of the rights to the original game to actually make Alpine Online,
No
and
idea.
then these 300 people haven't woken up, even though the original game doesn't really exist anymore. So hang on a minute. There must be a connection here, but no one managed to figure it out for like a month.
It's either writing logic, because the writer himself forgot to have anybody else mention about it, or perhaps maybe some crazy secret thing where the government decided, no, I don't want anybody to know.
I think it's interesting that Kirito still has his stats from SAO, and I don't think that there's no other SAO player who wouldn't have logged in before him and realized that it's the copy of SAO. And
I know one, Argo, because she's like, the all-time source of all information. You think her nosiness is just going to end the moment she gets out of SAO?
Yes.
Hell no.
Agree.
Yeah, 100%. She gets out of SEO and she's like, no, I'm done with all of that. Not gonna happen. Finished with information broking. I'm not.
Journaling's boring. I'd rather do it IRL instead of the video games that I've been working on and was a beta tester for SAO before it actually launched.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 years of your life. Dude, who cares? Way.
Well, I already became an info broker in SAO, so I'm gonna double down and do that shit in real life.
Yeah.
And then just casually forget about the VR world in the process.
If she got it, she got it.
Dude, she'd make some mad bank from that. Probably.
And also the fact that
You know who was responsible for the book of SAO? Like SAO, what's it called? In their world. Forgot. It's mentioned in Ordinal Scale, but I can't remember what it's actually called.
Okay.
It's like just the book that all SAO survivors, they don't actually read, but everybody else reads to know about what happened in SAO. Do we actually know if that was even Argo, or just some random person put it together and ignored Argo for that? I think
it's kind of sad that Argo wasn't shown in the anime.
Yeah, that's depressing.
I think
that
she
was
got like one side scene in it was like
episode 3.
I can tell you the exact moment she appears in the anime.
Episode 3 when Kirito searches for the Christmas boss. She got around.
Yep, she's right in front of a Christmas tree and they're on a bench. And she's talking to him, and has a really funky voice, and appears very, very brownish green.
Yeah.
And then disappears.
Yes.
It's the episode with the moonlit black cats.
Right.
It's so strange that Argo's hair is so much different than in Progressive, and what most people think that she has blonde hair. And in the anime, that one skin, she doesn't have blonde hair.
To be honest with the comparisons in terms of differences between the original and Progressive, you could say that with a lot of characters, and quite a bit of it has been altered and changed, and personally, for the better.
Yes.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, they're almost unrecognizable. If you didn't know their names and like their base personalities, you wouldn't be able to tell if they're actually the same person in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of wish they would then decide, you know what, let's do it with the second arc as well. Let's change it and improve it. That I would like that.
I would too, but do you really think Reki's going to get through all 100 floors of SAO, of Aincrad, and then go through and rewrite everything else?
Yeah.
True. That's going to be a long process if they even decide to do it.
Even if he manages, if he actually goes through with actually writing the whole Aincrad thing.
That would be our job.
Yeah, it might be right. Yeah. There you go. That's that'd be an idea to someone to write. Just rewrite the entirety of the plot for the second arc. Go on.
No, there's too many reboots. The second arc. Too many of them out there, and normally they're not that good either. They're just
that's probably the most rewritten arc, probably in anime fandom.
Yes.
Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder fucking why.
I have no idea. No idea at all.
Every second fan fiction on SAO you come across is an attempted rewrite. Fairy Dance.
Yes.
Yeah, Reki, just so you know, so many people have tried rewriting the Fairy Dance arc and failed. If they're not going to do it right, you may as well do it for them.
If they're not going to do it right, and the people who can do it right aren't going to write it because they don't like the arc enough, then he should probably rewrite it, yeah.
Yeah. Even more of like a Thanos clone, just to fine, I'll do it myself. There we go, yes.
Nice.
Kind of reminds me of the reason I do fan fiction in the first place. Is I can't find the fan fictions that I'm looking for, and I'm just like, fine, I'll make it myself.
Same here.
Yeah. It's just like, for me, it's like, especially it's like just things which could have done slightly differently, and that opens up a wave of new opportunities you can do. So that's how I got into it.
Same
Yeah.
here.
I got into it, and now I write the weirdest and craziest AUs, and they're not even usually anywhere related to the normal world that the characters are based from.
That's funny. I was thinking of an idea for that. Remember when I was talking about the fanfic idea that I called Casual Affair?
Yes. Barely.
Maybe.
Say again?
Maybe. I don't.
There's something in the back of my mind.
I don't recall this at all. I don't think I was around.
It was basically an entire alternate universe that's set sort of back in time to like Japan's feudal era, not area. But it's with magic, and there's like half animal people. Like that hasn't been done because that hasn't been done before.
Made definitely interesting concept.
Yeah, basically, Austin is the princess of the human kingdom, Kirito's
I
a
remember.
half animal
Yeah.
stray.
I will say though, that like
Oh, I
princess
remember.
thing
I called them
The
Kimono
kimono.
Hito,
annoying.
which was Japanese for beast people.
Yeah, I remember. We talked about it a lot. Yeah, in story
Yeah.
IDs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, I'm done talking about it.
I'm not really good at like past history AUs. Mine is more like futuristic or fantasy or modern era kind of stuff. Like my
Yeah.
little
Right.
that's what most of Little Moments is. My Lost Memories one is my favorite though.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's head back to the main topic of
Yeah.
the arc.
I think
that-
that's. I think. Sorry.
So arc bad, we try to do good, still end up bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Booga booga.
In a lot of cases, yeah.
I like the eight was that 8 species in LAO that you can choose from.
You said LAO, it's ALO.
That's okay. I'm not here. Shutting up now.
Technically, this version of the game is just Alpine. It's just Alpine. Because ALO isn't technically what it called until after they changed companies and blah 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 and all that crazy stuff until it reaches the third arc.
Oh yeah, the fact that the entirety of the MMO industry just collapsed overnight. Gee, I wonder why. Perhaps because every single time someone tries to create a VR MMO, people get kidnapped in some way.
Or killed.
Because oh my gosh, the technology is just so crazy and the science is just so fascinating that everybody under the sun who has bad intentions decided, oh, see it for myself and I'm going to ruin it for everybody.
And when
Sugo being the main perpetrator. Well, I mean,
it's humanity.
he was a perpetrator, but he was the worst one.
I'm still waiting for Yui to snap and go Skynet on us.
It will happen one day.
Thousands of little kids in the game. Well, not little kids. Basically, Kaiba trapped everyone in the game, but at least he was honest about it.
Yes. He told them that.
Well, that and kind of
One of the
really is
controllers.
actually built around that, though. So, like, there's a ton of stuff that's put into the game, especially you see that in Progressive, with like different types of details and stuff. And even then, Kaiba doesn't really control everything that's in the game, which is odd. And a lot of the AIs and stuff, as we see with Yui, grow out of what they were supposed to be and end up becoming something different.
Yeah, it's
So she was a learning AI?
something like that.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes
It
to
kind
like,
of reminds me of the robot from The Incredibles. Like, it's a learning robot. Every moment that you spend fighting with it will only increase its knowledge on how to beat you.
Yui would cry if you refer to a robot in a movie. She'd be so sad.
Compare her to one.
but yeah, I know it's the technology which always confused me, especially with this kind of stuff. It's like, was it explicitly says, like, I hated when villains do this. They spew out their plans straight away, but it's like, oh, it pretty much can help adjust people's thoughts and stuff. It's just, hang on a minute. So why is this never mentioned again? Why is?
Yeah, I wonder.
Because it
he
was a
really
plot
managed to
device.
actually complete the work on that, and then for some reason deleted or something. And then it's just, hang on a minute. So if he can do it, why has no one else attempted to do this?
Because
And
it
why
was
is this
plot
not bigger news? That the fact that some random evil guy had really gained the ability to change people's thoughts.
The answer is
I wonder-
easy. Plot
I
device.
wonder if Kirito fucked him up so badly that it put the fear of God in everyone else, and they're just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, he did get into a knife fight him in a hospital car park. So
Before
Certainly a lot of
torturing him
marbles.
through the game.
I think we're getting a bit too far ahead of ourselves with knife fights in a car park.
Why? It's always a
I
good
still
thing.
can't
Think about it for 5 seconds, and you think we're going too far? That's not a lot about us.
I just still can't believe this. He just literally just left him for dead. This is supposed to be the good guy we're rooting for. Okay,
Technically, you didn't kill him.
I know, but still, he was shocked in the middle of the snow without And it would be quite cold if it would be snowing, so being left in the open.
It's Sugo the piss baby. He thought he was gonna die.
So what?
I don't blame the anime for stopping that point at that point, because it definitely gives like that sense of almost satisfaction to the audience, because they see a character who's beaten down and the villain's finally taken care of, and then the hero goes and gets the girl, like in a lot of other animes and other kinds of shows and just media in general. So yeah, I see what they do. Do I agree that they should probably have like, they could have included kind of police sirens or like blue and red flashing lights because there's a window. Yeah, they could have, but they didn't.
It's like when you walk away and behind you a large explosion occurs. It's just cool. It looks cool.
Dude, Pervy, your mic is going. I just called you Pervy by instinct. I'm sorry, since it's the first word of your username. I mean, Nain. Nain, your mic is all over the place. Fuck my life.
Always. It's always.
You know what? That's it. I shall call you Pervy, and you shall be mine.
Alright then.
This fucking Dory. Finding Nemo.
Seeing the three of you guys, like all four of you, with the whole, something Sage thing, makes me totally not at all regret putting Panzers in there while he was offline.
I mean, to be honest, I just logged in that morning. You just do the usual morning routine. So hang on a minute, something isn't right here.
Hold on, wait a minute, something right. Give back.
And then just scroll up the messages. It's like, I see what's happened here.
I should try and convince the server master, or the game master, I guess. I should totally try and convince him to see if I can make a role for the sages.
The four sages.
The podcast sages, yeah.
Please do.
The four sages. That's what needs to happen. Right, so I know I said we were getting too far ahead of ourselves with the knife fight in the car park.
Now we've really gotten ahead of ourselves with this sage conversation.
No, it's just it's just because I need to mention this real quick, because I've just watched it back now. It's like 30 seconds long, and Kirito, who we've established at this point has only been out of the game for a short while. He's not physically fit. I mean, we don't know Sugo's physical abilities, but my god, he kicks his ass. After getting his face and his arms sliced up, he holds him off. He holds him off with one arm.
Also take into consideration the fact that he grabbed him by the hair, slammed him into a car so badly it dented the frame. That's a steel frame. That is
As a romance writer, there is a cliche that I have to say, but it's just because I'm a rumor translator. But it's totally the power of love, because he's going for Asuna. Totally there.
Yes, do everything for the girl. Maybe Kirito got lucky.
Rolled natural 20s. There you go.
I'm honestly surprised that Sugo didn't get like concussed or anything like that, because his brain would have been fucking rattled in real life if that actually happened to him.
Yeah, but who knows if he didn't have brain damage from, the whole thing actually in the game without the pain, whatever it's called.
Well, pain inhibitor or whatever, yeah. And it's in fact his hands got
that was more of a mental thing. That was more of the mental thing. This is like actually real physical shit.
You mean the whole mental thing? That he's got, like, his face is now disfigured after that?
Brains of fucking
definitely totally just a mental thing.
This is the thing that I don't understand is we know that Kirito isn't very physically fit. He's not very strong. We saw in Ordinal Scale, he's not very strong.
And yet he is.
And he's lying on his back with one arm, holding off this guy who's trying to push a knife down into his chest.
That's adrenaline. Adrenaline can make you do anything. And it can give you an insane amount of just that energy boost to give you that strength.
But also with downward pressure as well. Like, this guy is on his knees trying to drive a knife in his chest, and he's holding him off with one arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that particular moment, we're not exactly sure if Kirito is unfit or not, because yeah, it's been, how long is it out of the year, out of the game? How long was he out for? I forgot.
2 or
I
3
think
months.
it was only a couple of months.
3 months.
Yeah.
If he was in there, out of there for 3 months, and if he was doing a lot of intense rehab, he could actually be a lot more fit than what we see in the ordinal scale.
Well, if you think about it,
would have been a great
he is he was sparring with his sister and held up himself very well against his sister, who is a national kendo champion or something.
The other thing too is like there's a connection between your mind and body. So let's say you are in a virtual world and you do exercise and stuff every day. I'm not saying that you're going to get stronger. You're not, but there's like it's a chemistry thing. It doesn't really matter, but just it's connected, and it could also explain why he's able to have these moments where he is stronger than he actually would be.
Yeah, because something with the brain I don't really understand, but I get it.
The only way I
think.
can
I'm honestly just too lazy to explain it all.
I can describe it. The only way I can describe it is that it's anime and we just have to accept that fact.
Plot armor.
Yeah.
Great running gag for most of the rest of the series.
Anime, because it also happens in the book.
I think it would have been a great running gag if throughout the rest of the series, Kirito is just abnormally strong in real life in spite of the fact that he's a scrawny dude.
Except he's not.
Like, just one day in school, the teacher switches items to a different locker without telling him, and he's just like, why won't my lock work? I don't know. Kirito then proceeds to rip the door off its hinges, looks inside, it's just like, this ain't my stuff.
What we got instead was him running out of breath, tripping and falling whilst running 100 feet in a movie.
Yeah, well, Asuna takes down multiple bosses without breaking his leg.
Kirito just looks in the locker. This ain't my stuff. Oh, it's just like, well, I mean, yeah, there's obviously there's actual books in there.
Well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah. What I said made no sense.
Rather than move on, let's move backwards. Let's go back.
In terms of earlier on in the arc.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's rewind the clock a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me. I can't understand that the original was written quite a bit of time ago, but I still find it odd that the fact that all these MMOs are being released on discs, not downloaded from the internet. Steam wait, where was it? Was the original actually made?
We don't really know if they're actual discs.
After SAO, they had the seed, didn't they?
Yeah,
games were uploaded.
Unfortunately, games are still being made at all.
Don't get the facts wrong. The seed isn't released yet until after the arc.
Yeah, right at the end of the arc, the seed is released, or as they call it, Zacido.
Yeah. After Kayaba gives it to Kirito.
Yeah, which is managed to transfer his consciousness onto the internet somehow.
See, now you're skipping all the way to the end.
I know we do. We've gone back to the end. We need to go back right to the beginning.
Okay.
When I was talking. It's like when he. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Let's go to the beginning. What I didn't really understand that whole fiasco with between his sister and the whole Alabama thing. It's just why? I
don't blame Studios for not, telling her brother, who was trapped in a game for his own life for 2 years? I mean, I don't blame her for not telling him, hey, I'm also involved in VR, and that's not scary at all, because you just barely survived a death game, and there's a whole bunch of people who died, and I'm just fine. I promise it's safe. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I don't blame her for not telling him.
I can see it happening.
Not to mention this is Kirito too, so it's a question of if you want to go on like the passive Kirito thing, or like he's actually protective over his sister. So if he's protective over his sister, then he's gonna freak out about it. If he's not protective over his sister, he's just gonna be like, okay, cool, let me join you, and that's it. But he could have two different sides, and we never really saw a ton of that like protective older brother or non-protective older brother.
Would have been cute as hell if there was.
I would love to see more of that.
I
It's
just
like
can't.
it's more stuff we'd like to see from this kind of stuff. It's like I would have liked to see more of Recon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Recon.
because technically he was the mentor for a while, but that's never really mentioned.
Maybe one line where he basically says that he introduced her to the game and she quickly overwhelmed him.
Yeah, I'm just if I didn't initially know about that information, I would have never guessed it.
Yeah, it's very strange dynamic between them.
It's definitely a missed opportunity. It would have been nice to see more of the character interactions and less of the I'm in love with my older brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we all do.
I think
Wasn't that an actual quote?
I understand.
I think she says, I'm in love with my brother. I think that's what she says.
I understand the whole him not recognizing her, but how did she not recognize him?
Hold on. No.
They were together.
Their voices don't change in the game. How long does it take for you to recognize your own sibling's voice?
A lot.
Especially when you leave,
fucking pasta.
especially when you log out of said game, and the first thing you do is talk to your sibling.
And it's like, oh, I wonder why they're not responding.
Wasn't there this one video, it was a gag video that actually kind of pointed that out with a joke? Like, hey, you dress in all black and play video games just like my brother, and you have really big tits, just like my sister.
Yeah, that was the SAO 5-minute thing or something.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh my gosh.
and then afterwards, it's just, I'm immediately over it.
The first introduction to Suga that was just, hi, I'm incest.
Sorry, I'm not interested right now.
It's so just... I would like her character more if there was less of that. Because like I couldn't really get into her character because that was just like shoved in my face, and that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted at all. But it's so hard to really enjoy her character when that's a lot of what people also want to. Is like, oh, well, she should be included in when it comes to fanfiction. She should be included in if you're doing a multi-pairing or just even if you're not at all doing a multi-pairing and you never have, and there's just still those people that are constantly like. Well, she should be involved in the romance. I don't want her to just be his sibling. Blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Well,
maybe I'd like the character more if you guys wouldn't bug me so much.
in the game canon,
You're cutting off.
Yeah, your mic is button out.
the game alternate timeline canon.
I only catch every third word.
It's like stringing out your words. Every time I try to say the word game, it goes, yeah, and then pauses and find issues.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think it's gone now.
This
Dude,
is
you
good.
got, is your
You're gonna
mic
get,
green?
like,
Like, say, like, you got green above your name in Discord, or it's just like yellow?
yeah, I have an
Straight to
idea.
red.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Buy a Steel Series headset. That shit's good. That's what I'm using right now.
I'm hanging out with my co-wins. Well, I wish we could actually have heard what Panzer was saying.
What?
Whoever was speaking, whoever's mic was freaking out. I don't even know if my Discord actually tracked who was talking, but they're freaking out so much.
No, Panzer usually just echoes whatever everyone else says.
So talking about the whole Sugu being, and he's gone.
No!
And he's back.
Back,
Right
back.
here? Is it working? Oh yeah, yep, okay. My Discord doesn't register Letta's ever talking.
Yeah!
Oh.
That's fantastic.
So if we're still talking about the whole Suga romance with Kirito thing, there's this really super popular SAO fanfiction writer. You might know him as Saints Inferno or Saints Inferno. I think that's what he's called, the Saints Inferno. And
I've heard of him in multiple different ways.
That's ominous.
It is on
there's this one fic that was centered around two things really throughout the entirety of the thing. Kirito literally being an omniscient god, or getting the soul of an I can't fucking speak, of an omnipotent alien god, and him and Suku being essentially in love, because apparently it starts right well before he and Asuna even live in the same house or some shit, whatever that episode was, and it's super popular. Why can't I talk?
What is it? I think I know which one you're talking about, but I might not.
I don't. I'm really
What's
lost.
the author name? Because now I'm actually
Universes. That's what the fic was called. Requiem Universes.
What is it called again?
Requiem Universes.
I might have, and I don't remember. Maybe. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. There's a running theme of all of his fics being centered around the Kirito Sugaha ship, and it's super popular.
Well, 1 point for incest.
It's working. Yes.
It's working.
Nice.
But it still says you're never talking, but it's okay.
Yay.
Yay! Okay.
I felt like during that time that I was speaking, I was slowly regressing back to my weird kid phase when I was in school.
What?
So is it Saint Infernal Neos?
Yes, him, Saint Inferno Neos.
Yeah, I heard about him earlier. I don't think I've ever read any of his stuff though.
Yeah. A lot of it is pretty.
Oh, no, yes, I have. Is it the one you're talking about? Is it? Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce this.
Requiem Universes.
Have you read this one? I've read this one before, which is a really weird one.
What's this nature? Oh, I've read that one a while back. I think it was first chapter.
It was weird.
It was like I read the first chapter and then I didn't read it ever again.
When I start reading something, I have a really bad habit of end up finishing it, even if I actually end up hating it.
This is really bad, but I've already read like the first half of the first chapter, so I'm gonna double down.
Well, and it's not like, dude, you guys gotta remember, I read really fast anyway, so it's just like, great, I wasted like 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes I won't get back, but I mean, it's not the worst thing.
Speed.
I sometimes do like to read stuff which I don't hugely enjoy. It's just because so I can identify what I'm not hugely enjoying about it, and then I can apply that to other things to say, okay, so don't do that, do this instead.
I am the same way in some cases, but
this is an example of what not to do.
Yep. Pretty much. I think if Suga
There's a use for really bad fics. They serve as bad examples.
True. But then you also get writers who believe those are actually the good fics.
Yeah, it's a personal opinion, really. It does differ a lot between person to person. I may really enjoy something which other people cannot stand. I really enjoy military doctrine and learning about how each weapon is slightly unique. Other people can't stand that.
Okay, yeah, but that's like that's logical.
Really, no
that
such thing as a bad or good idea. Just really bad execution and
exactly.
You wanted to say one and ask me?
If same person asked me if I liked like military arsenals and weapons and stuff like that, I would say no. And it's just because my attention span's not usually long enough for me to actually be able to enjoy that stuff. Maybe if I had a better attention span.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Man, I really wish Sugu had been portrayed better. But she's one of my favorite characters for Lost Memories, but I have such a hard time actually portraying her as anything because the big reason she's there is, in a lot of cases, it feels like just to bring in that type of romance. Yeah, and it's like we don't really have a lot of information about her at all.
To remind the readers that she has smoking hots for her own brother.
Yep.
And being bazookas.
Pretty much.
Yeah. She's
Could have done better, Reki. Could have done better.
She's like Liz or CDC that we get. She's there because for the harem trope. Nothing else.
I would like to see like a little more done with her character. Even just if it was just like her character in Alpine, just Lifa, it would have been nice to see more of that kind of like she is related to Kirito. Like she's really good at swordplay and all that kind of stuff. But it would have been cooler to see like, you know, Asuna uses a rapier and Kirito uses a black sword, and he's a one and a half handed sword is what he usually uses. But we don't really see a lot of stuff with Lifa's blade. It's kind of just a blade.
It's kind of just a curved sword.
It's a curved sword, and she can fly. That's a lot of what we learned about Lifa.
Wow.
She has
It reminds me of the guard quote from Skyrim. Just, they used curved swords. Curved swords.
What kind of sword is it?
Good.
Also, if she was so good at Alpine, why didn't she get a nickname? Like, come on, gamers are notorious for giving each other nicknames. Yeah. It's odd that she doesn't have a nickname that she's not called by, like Asuna's the Lightning Flash and Kirito's the Black Swordsman. But in any other games and stuff, I mean, everybody has their nicknames.
Well, that's because a lot of the times the nicknames are based off a prominent feature. With Kirito, he wears a lot of black. With Asuna, she's super fast. And Lifa has none, other than the big bazookas.
Which would be a really unfortunate nickname.
Big bazookas.
If only she had an actual character that we could actually do something with. If we're talking about this argument about those characters, then, though, as fanfiction writers...
Big titty police girl.
Oh, jeez.
Ouch.
As writers, though, and since we're talking about this arc and these characters, and if we all have an issue with Sugu, what if we built a little bit of a character for her?
We can rebuild her. We have the technology.
We'll just pick some traits and stuff that we think that she would have. Because for one case, it would definitely help me because I have a hard time telling exactly what she would be doing or what kind of character she is, just because we see a lot of nothing.
Sounds
with
cool.
her.
Yeah.
I know she's reserved and like with her emotions, and she has a tendency to be accidentally violent, but otherwise we don't really know a lot. And even then, just saying that reminds me more of Asuna than Sugu.
Yeah, and she's also a bit different than in game than out of game. It's
Well, it doesn't make sense because if you're in VR, you really do begin to assimilate to both. You kind of adjust to. You become a combination. You don't just like separate it between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's rebuild them from not the bottom up, but get whatever we can get out of what's been displayed and build upon that.
So we know that she's reserved. And occasionally, physically, I don't know.
We do know that she wasn't really a gamer before the SAO incident. Then that she only joined Alpha to see what it would be like for her brother, right?
Yes, I think. If I'm aware, yeah.
She wanted to know.
Which is also sad because she also it's like. Thinking about it, it really does feel like she's just a redo of all Asuna's basic traits. Because if you think about it, Asuna is also not a video gamer either for SAO. Yeah. She wasn't a gamer.
So we can agree that
we learn a lot more of that in Progressive, but
can we agree that Kirito is secretly in love with her sister, or with his sister?
Ugh.
I think one of my original ideas that I had for my current fanfiction code is trying to incorporate Sugu into like a sort of small mini harem three-way love triangle thingy. But the difficult part for me was trying to get them into the mindset, and then I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna make an OC, have him give a third-party opinion. Like, I'm tired of seeing the three of you dance around each other. Just fucking kiss already.
See, that's when you give the whole unnamed character who sees them often enough that they're annoying him.
Yeah.
Yep.
He doesn't have a name. He just,
Yukinari,
You're being
ice cold OC.
How long is it going to take for you guys to realize that something's actually going on between the two of you? A year? 3 years? Then what are you waiting for? It's clearly already happening.
Just get the room.
You guys are just too shy to say anything.
Well, what other people think? Dude, their love life is none of their business.
Dude,
The most
you
powerful
have,
force in the universe.
dude, you have a doubt that's actually an AI.
If an AI knows, I think there might be something there.
You mean, how many of you guys have you read Progressive?
I'm at
Never.
the first volume.
I've read
Do any of you guys mind just very mild spoilers? I'm not actually
No.
like
I don't
describing
care
any
for
of the
any kind of
details or
spoilers,
anything.
really.
Yeah.
Just go fire away.
Okay,
Yeah.
that comment reminds me, Kismo knows something's going on with Kirito and Asuna. She knows. Like, she's mentioned it a couple times and throughout the Progressive series. And you see it over and over and over from her. And that's what that reminded me of. It reminded me of Kismo with Progressive. Particularly in the, was it the 5th book? I think it's the 5th book.
Sugu, an AI, a little girl AI, literally called Kirito and Asuna daddy and mommy on the second day. I'm pretty sure you
And
can
you're
figure it
still
out.
confused? And this still shocks you so much when you find out that this is your brother who's trying to be in the game to go save his girl? And it really shocks you that much right in that moment. You never saw it coming? Oh, jeez. She must have been as oblivious as her older brother.
Runs in the family.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, it's something I've rarely, I haven't seen that in any anime or fanfiction. A dense female. Like,
What?
What is now I forgot her name. There's a character in one of the books, not the books, the games.
what is the name of the trope? I read it somewhere in TV tropes. I forgot what it was. I'm not gonna bother looking it up.
Can't remember her freaking name.
Well,
But there's plenty of dense females.
yes. All too many.
I forgot the name of the trope, or is that actually the trope's name? I felt like it was longer than that.
Hmm.
Like dense female and protagonist, or dense female lead, whatever it was.
I'm looking it up. I'm curious.
Yeah, when in doubt, Google.
Who's your friend?
Yeah, that's the thing about the internet. It's a double-edged sword. Some information's correct, some of it isn't. The worst part is you can barely really tell you can't really know for sure.
And you will find such dark secrets in it.
There's such cursed knowledge which you can
Body
never ever
pillows.
remove from your mind.
Leonard body pillows. Remember
I
the
can't find it.
conversation?
I don't want to waste more of my time looking for something that I have no idea what exists.
You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
Yeah.
Nice. Can't remember this character's freaking name. What is her
Kind of
name?
thing that reminds me of the Wake Up to Reality quote from Madara Uchiha, the guy from Naruto.
Straya, there's her name. She's a dense female. Dense, very oblivious female.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I just looked up the Madara Uchiha Wake Up to Reality quote from Naruto.
Yeah.
there anything else about the arc though that we want to talk about?
Well, I've always found it interesting that when Kirito fights the salamanders in the underground, and he uses that illusion to turn into the 74th boss, it's...
Well, it's not really an illusion, more so just him shapeshifting.
I think it's illusion.
It's illusion, yes, and how the hell can he just pick up people and bite their head off and things like that when he is just an illusion? That's not shape-shifting, it's not real, it's just an image. And
it makes you wonder if it's an illusion. Like, Kirito actually doesn't change, but that's what every other gamer sees happening around him. That explains what actually ends up happening.
And he just walks up to them and stabs them with his sword, and they just see that he, I don't know, ripped them in half.
Yeah, but then his teasing comment and stuff doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I wonder if it could actually be like shapeshifting, but it's just considered an illusion for other fairies, because they're not actually sure if it's, you know, they're actual shapeshifting or they're just making an illusion. Because magic is so powerful as an illusion, it can be anything.
It's also mad confusing.
Yeah, if it was explained a bit more, that would have been a lot better, rather than just, it's just an illusion, picks up random people and starts eating them. Okay.
Is it an illusion?
Just an illusion?
Well, the other thing is, so there's the Spriggans and there's the Imps. And I don't really know a whole lot of what's the difference between the two, other than one is dark and the other one is supposedly just illusion magic, but they're both like...
To be honest, I even forgot that was even a race, to be honest.
Yeah,
the other one.
I looked it up, the spell.
I think it's funny how Kirito picked this brigade just because it was black in color. Didn't really pay attention to the stats.
The Imp was black as well. It's just the Spriggan had more black and long sleeves and a hood. I'm pretty darn sure that's why.
You know what's interesting? That I looked up in Google the spell, and it's an illusion spell that turns the caster into a monster. So it's an illusion that shapeshifts.
Okay, so it is shapeshifting.
It's just considered an illusion magic. Would it make sense? Shouldn't that be dark type magic?
Yeah, yeah. If you turn yourself into a monster, then it's
I feel like
say that it's logical rules.
Yeah, I just feel like all 9 of these races weren't quite figured and fleshed out yet, besides the Undines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the most solidified one of them all.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, Metamorphosis. Okay, so every reasonably leveled Spriggan can do that. That's kind of overpowered. Imagine if all of them just suddenly did that.
Well, if you think about it, from what we've seen, a lot of the mobs and monsters that we see in Alfheim aren't as strong or powerful as the ones in Aincrad. So really only the SAO survivors would be the ones that would be able to make these insane floor bosses.
Yes.
Rather than just the average monster.
No, I want to see Kirito turn into the 75th boss, the School Reaper.
No. I want to see Kirito turn into the... What is it called? It's when they're down in the thing getting Thinker. I forgot what it's called.
Which one?
Is it just called the Grim Reaper?
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
No, Soul Reaper.
That would be hilarious. Soul Reaper. That would be funny to see Kirito as.
Yes.
That would be highly entertaining.
Sure, if Austin saw that, she gets severe flashbacks.
Yes.
I think she'd have more flashbacks if she had actually seen what's it called? The Blue-Eyed Demon? I forgot what it was called. Darn it.
The Gleam
The
Eyes.
74. Gleam Eyes, yeah. I think she would have had more of a heart attack when she saw Gleam Eyes, to be honest.
Yes.
Because wasn't that a lot more of a close call?
Oh yeah, it was.
And the Soul Reaper, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think she'd have more flashbacks if she had saw that Kirito had magically turned into a monster. That's from her nightmares.
Yes.
Kirito
It does make you wonder how that
everything
magic
that nearly
works, though.
killed him.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why, out of every single creature he could think of from the world he's in now and, Aincrad, he chose that boss to turn into.
Just pure
Kirito, you already beat him. Why are you joining him?
Writer's symbolism saying, look what I brought back into the arc. It's a little bit of Aincrad.
Now, cheers for my wisdom and greatness, and I actually remembered something of Minecraft.
Was the most iconic boss battle that I had before.
I think it's funny how I can
that one.
remember names and quotes, but I can't remember some of the scenes in the anime.
I have an easy time remembering.
What was it called? The Grim Reaper, the Bad Reaper, the Soul Reaper, yeah. What was it called? The Blue Eyes White Dragon, the Gleam Eyes, yeah.
I just haven't watched or read watched the anime or read the books in a really long time, but I remember enough of the details and stuff that it's just not too easy to
I've been looking through real quick. I've been looking through wiki images for some of the crew, and I'm looking through the pictures, looking at Kyoko Yuki, Asuna's mom. Asuna's mom looks like menopause. She looks as if menopause was a person.
What?
No, I have
Okay.
to say that.
Sure.
Okay.
that poor character.
Let's go, gamers.
Alright, anything else about the arc though?
Monster, if you will, but that's just how I see it.
Anything else major about the arc?
Jesus, Len.
Spazzing out over there?
Well, what about the
Well,
Oh,
Okay.
his mic's out.
If when in doubt, if something isn't working, turn it off, turn it back on again.
Len, you could also try changing your mic and see if it's your actual headset or if it's just the computer.
Or if it's a similar problem to a couple of weeks back where couldn't actually connect in so you couldn't hear anyone, but hopefully you can hear. So.
That's an audio setting. You just go to audio settings and check the devices you have connected.
Yeah. It was a weird one a couple of weeks ago where it was it wouldn't actually connect to a VC channel. It just kept saying it was connecting. So your way to figure that one out was to connect to a different one on a different server, then come back to this one, and then it worked. I don't understand how that worked, but it did.
That, your magic, or his internet, which is breaking.
No idea, but it was the same for all three of us. I think on the first one or something. Basically, it wouldn't connect on this one for some reason, and then you go to a different one and back to this one.
Oops, I did not do that correctly. I'm trying to grab a screenshot of this really quick to show. Okay.
I remember that, but it's been
Anything
a
else
while.
I
about
think we've one thing I want to talk about, something I've been curious about. What are your guys' favorite headcanons?
Head cannons, okay.
Yeah.
So you mean that being something which is never really
just
said,
overall?
yes, overall, or just in terms of the series?
In terms of SAO.
So headcanon, it would be anything that you find consistent in your writing that you believe should have happened in canon. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
For anyone who's confused about the terminology.
Ever since reading the fanfic Asuna's Secret, I think she's just mad obsessed with heavy metal. With heavy metal music.
Let's
I'm
see.
so caught on
She
that
took a full
one. I
slate.
sometimes think she likes heavy metal, and other times I think she doesn't. So I haven't decided on that one.
My
She just secretly has a full playlist filled with Motionless in White and
my favorite headcanon is from my own story that Liz and Kirito can't meet before when Liz makes his sword, and whenever the two of them are at the same place, so one of them, for some reason, always gets carried away before they can meet, and everyone is just
I have
like,
no idea what you just said. I'm sorry.
yeah. So no.
Nope.
Okay. I give up. Hello.
Type it in chat.
Yeah.
Might just be making it a little too difficult.
The classic gag is, can you put that in chat?
Oh, that was you did the same thing in the first episode, the pilot episode. Can you type it in chat?
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Yeah, and I can't talk simply.
This is why.
That's alright. I kind of do the same thing since I stutter.
Fair enough.
That's what it
I
is.
stutter, you have an accent,
I just exist.
since Mike keeps giving out.
I don't have an accent, I just can't talk normally.
Well, some of us are not as blessed to be able to just talk normally.
No, of course.
It's part of the reason why I like doing this podcast, because I have an excuse to try and practice talking to people, especially in English.
Yeah.
Because I'm, as you can see, as you can hear, I'm not good with it. At it.
It's practice. English is a really weird language to learn.
Yes, but Hungarian is worse. I can talk from experience.
I think if I had to rank like it from the languages that I speak, I think I would choose ASL on the bottom because that one's literally just words. You don't actually have to spell anything. That's American Sign Language, by the way. Then probably Latin, Japanese, then Spanish because I hate Spanish language, and then English would be at the top.
Ooh. Spanish.
I mean, yeah, remember all of those town names I did I think a good few weeks ago now, basically try and pronounce them.
Oh, I
Remember
remember.
Yeah, no, for Nain, showed you some of the, there were some town names I basically put in, I think it's on general now or whatever, but quite a few weeks ago now, but basically put some English town names in, try and pronounce them, but actually how they're spelled is completely different of actually how you say it. And it's
You guys
really
do it or tag me. That way I can get you guys to pin for the stuff.
Oh god, that's quite a while.
Keep track of it though.
God, that's so much time ago now.
It's been so long.
Well, yeah, but in the future you could always just say, Tiger Cry, pin this.
Fair enough. Right, I'll remember that for next time.
Alright, so headcanons. I have the personal headcanon where if Argo and Kirito would be left alone together in the same room, they'd probably end up making the world explode.
Yes.
Because the chaotic energy is just too much.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can picture that.
Me too. Too easy.
I love Argo, but I cannot pair her with Kirito because I just feel like the world will just blow up at that point.
Do it anyway. The world deserves to die.
That's how they look. That's how everyone gets out of the game. The world of Minecraft can't keep up, so they all manage to get out of the game via that way. Nothing to see here. Please disperse.
That's unusual.
What about you guys? You guys got any cannons?
Well,
I never really thought of it before. I haven't really got one really, unless I don't know.
Mic working? I thought I heard one for a second.
Yeah, I think I was. I think if you hit on the mic occasionally, then it works, but not anything else. I don't understand.
Well, it could just be like something that you see that you write a lot of in any of your fan fictions and stuff. That could also be considered just a hand cannon.
well, for me,
Head cannon, not hand cannon. Clearly, I've been playing too much Destiny 2 this morning.
Okay.
Well, in my case, that in SAO, before Liz makes Kirito his second sword, they just unable to meet. That whenever Asuna or someone else wants the two of them to meet, they just always miss each other by a moment, a second.
That's hilarious. I love that one.
Wait, say again?
That
I got it. I got you. I heard it. So I can explain it too. So if it's hard to
Please do.
understand.
Please do. I can talk.
So he's saying, like, you know, in SAO where Liz makes Kirito his second sword, the Dark Repulsor. So before that point where Kirito actually met up with Liz, he's saying that every time Asuna or anybody else wanted them, the two of them, Liz and Kirito, to meet, they kept missing each other by just a couple minutes or a few seconds. So they never actually got to meet up until that point, even though they had tried to get them to meet before.
Yes. That's good.
Cool. I think I've just got one now.
Let's go to the
Basically,
point.
basically that doesn't matter what VR MMO game it is. For some reason, Kirito is absolutely fantastic at playing at every single one of them. Doesn't matter what it is.
He's just
You're talking console games?
Yeah, perfect, natural, absolutely everything for some reason. Even if it's like a driving, if it's like a racing one, if it's an third-person shooter, if it's a strategy one for some reason, or fantasy for some reason, just really good at them and will somehow find a way to get a sword in one.
I can see it happening. It's too true.
See, my thing with video games and Kirito is I think he's terrible at Smash Brothers. And Sugu beats him all the time. Him and Asuna just destroy him.
Yeah.
He's good at every single other game, but he's bad at Smash Bros.
Yes. There you go.
Plays Call of Duty, he's Kirito whips out the 725. Just bam, bam, bam. Kirito, stop fucking killing us. No.
It's
then
the
Smash Bros.
Drago refuses to sell.
Oh.
So yeah, that's my headcanon.
Nice.
I'm trying to sift through my headcanons just to think of one that might entertain you.
I usually make, at least as of late, I put Asuna and Argo as siblings.
Oh,
Yo.
okay.
Nice.
That's
From
it.
Progressive. It's because of their dynamic and progressive, which is why.
Nice.
They're a lot more friendness. I don't know, however you want to say it.
Another favorite headcanon of mine, Xenon. If she plays like classic Call of Duty or any sort of first-person shooter, Xbox game or whatever, total shit talker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not just that, I can see her as a rager, to be honest. Outside of VR, she's fine.
She's a slight rager, but she's more of a trash talker.
But why can't she do both?
Why not? Always.
She's probably slammed her hand on that poor coffee table more times than that coffee table could care to admit.
Boy, that's good.
Probably gone through a few tables in the meantime.
You got one?
Yeah.
I feel like Kirito would also be a trash talker, but in the most kind and yet accurate way. Like, he'll somehow get at the one thing you don't like about you, and you have no choice but to accept it because he's so nice about it.
I can see, like, visualize a scene where he is, like, sort of trash talking, and then Asuna comes up from behind him because she's passing by and just smacks him upside the head and continues walking, and he just looks behind him, or like, what?
What did I do? She says only two things, or just two words. Be nice. Sorry, honey.
He just slumps into the couch, like, sorry.
I got another.
Asuna pauses, turns back with a grin, and is just like, what did we say about true but unhelpful comments?
Not to. Not to Zeva.
Oh, God.
I
Oh,
got
it fits too well. It fits too well.
Yeah. If the shoe fits. For me, another headcanon would be that Kirito always make sarcastic comments, and Nain always has to play the straight man next to him.
Beautiful. There's just so many opportunities and so many different things you could do with it.
I feel like if Austin were the kind of person to play Call of Duty or something like that, she would use the cheesiest, most broken set of guns and perks ever.
Probably.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
She would use the most broken objects. Like currently in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, two of the most broken guns is the AS-FAL and the 725. The AS-FAL is an integrally suppressed assault rifle, and the 725 is a double-barreled shotgun. And no matter how wide the spread is with the attachments that you use for the 725, it's stupid narrow. Like you could get long shots.
Provoker in Destiny 2.
Modern Warfare.
Said it sounds like Destiny 2 with Provoker.
I've never played Destiny 2.
You don't really want to. Once you get stuck on the grind, you don't get out of it.
I can say with a lot of MMOs and such like games and cleaning captures. Once you're in it, you're not getting out.
Pretty much.
If I'm gonna grind in a game, I have to at least enjoy it. Call of Duty, I can enjoy it.
I used to enjoy Destiny 2 a lot more than I do now, but it's because Bungie completely screwed it up.
Skill-based matchmaking made it worse.
There is no skill-based matchmaking, really, in a lot of cases. Except in Gambit, which makes it worse. Because then you have queue times that are like 10, 15 minutes, and you don't even load into a match until 20. And then it accidentally kicks you out of the game because it thinks, oh, well, you're in idle for that long, when you've been loading for that long.
I feel you. I seriously feel you.
Now, the Revoker comment, though, is it's a sniper in Destiny 2 where you could hit outside the actual hitbox, and the aim assist on that weapon is so high that it will guarantee a headshot if you're within 15 feet of your target. It was disgusting having to face against it. You think? It got broken enough that it made every curated rolled gun with like specialized perks and stuff get removed from the game except as exotic weapons. It was so bad.
But guaranteed, if Kirito played the game, he'd somehow find a way around it using a sword.
Always.
Ooh, Modern Warfare has melee weapons. It's literally two Kadachis, two small katanas.
Give it to Kirito.
He would use that relentlessly.
Yes.
Anything else about the art? Do you guys want to switch topics?
Oh, there's one thing. It was in the final. It was in the final battle, I think, where Kirito manages to use Kaiba's ID, Heathcliff.
Oh no,
and had no password. He logged in as the ID, and there was no password connecting the account, so he immediately just gave himself gave himself basically his account or whatever. I'm not entirely sure how that worked, but
I think.
Can you imagine Kaiba secretly having a COD account?
Off screen.
I think it's also funny that Kayapa's ID is the name he used in SAO.
Yep.
yeah.
It's a bit of a nose.
Very cliche. You'd think a mastermind who can trap 10,000 people in a VR world would actually put some effort into what he decides to call himself.
No.
And perhaps,
names as ID.
and perhaps
Heathcliff's a good name
as well.
Well, yeah, the Heathcliff's a good name. It's just like, yeah, why you don't password protect your freaking thing, and you control the whole game with this one ID, and then you don't put it under a fake name or something. Like, I understand it makes game programming easier because you can just call upon your game name in order to, bring up your ID window. But at the same time, you're just asking for some hacker to get into the game and just ruin it.
Just imagine what if during his battle with Kayaba, Kirito suddenly stopped and activated Heathcliff's ID for himself. Two admins at the same time fighting with the game itself.
Battle of the admins.
Hey, it gives more. Well, it makes more sense for my character to be in there now. See?
Yay.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, that'd be be an interesting topic to move on to if done with the arc, and that's how OCs and how to do them correctly.
Not make them self-inserts and not try to make them overpower the main characters. There's your answers.
Yeah,
They are the main
which
characters.
apparently is quite difficult, judging by how many OCs fall under those categories.
Yeah.
Which
I
is a
don't
shame.
understand why it's so
I tried
hard.
my best.
I actually technically have a self-insert. Her name is Kaylee, but she's not really a super main character, and I've never really had any complaints about her being in there. Interesting.
I wanted to make an OC, but taking into consideration what power to give him, I needed to make sure that he was powerful, but not stupid overpowered, at least by conduit standards. And I'm going by my own fanfic terminology here.
Yeah.
Let me make sure you say the name of your fanfiction since you're referencing it.
Yeah. I'm giving him ice, but I'm like, I need to find a way to like really offset that. So I decided, let's take Asuna, give her fire.
Beautiful.
What a good reason.
Which is funny because the Department of Unified Protection, the DUP, who makes a living trying to keep conduits in line and imprisoning them and stuff, their dynamic, their little conduit dynamic is glass. Like, they're led by a prime conduit who has full control over glass. However, he creates an army of force conduits, in which case the force conduits are the conduits who are given their power by an external source, which would be the prime conduit leader. Their whole gimmick is glass. Asuna can melt the shit out of glass.
Yeah, might as well say bye-bye to the prison.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, the balancing in OCs is
hard.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
I have an OC that basically the mentor of my main character, a former beta tester, and it's hard not to make him too powerful, but still relevant.
Yeah.
well, it's actually interesting because you can make OCs that are super powerful. Like, take my character Kaylee, for example. In Sword Art Online, she's actually a hacker, and she assimilates a GM. Change the game. So she is powerful, but she has certain limits that she has to go by in order to keep the game safe and stable and to keep viruses and stuff. But she works with Argo primarily. So, I mean, she is definitely a powerful character. But.
The thing with conduits is that, while they are certainly very powerful, and
I love that meme.
Hackerman.
Hackerman. I'm Hackerman. Yeah. So the thing is, while conduits are super powerful, the reason they are called conduits is because they have to absorb their given element, their given form of matter, before using it.
Yeah.
My only issue with stuff like that is it gets really hard to actually keep that really balanced. It gets extremely difficult, extremely fast to keep it balanced because there's so many opportunities for an element to be in an area that it can be seen as just completely crazy. But
Yeah.
I probably have a sketch of my OC around here somewhere.
I feel like Kirito could do some really horrifying things with his video power. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, he can make himself his own creepypasta. Or, like, just do basically this.
I think that would be very good in terms of tormenting people and like breaking them down mentally. So they put up less of a fight.
Like, he scares the shit out of, like, a laughing coffin member. He's just like, what the hell are you? And he's like, I am the fearful reflection of what you have created.
Not today, devil.
Talking about OCs, and maybe some of the audience, you know, their readers or their writers in some cases. What do you think are a couple of the things that they should be wary of if they make an OC into this fandom?
Not to be too bland. That
my only advice, no such thing as a bad idea, just bad execution and consumer preference.
Yes. I think I read many fanfics where they just the OC was just a blank state, and just there was just nothing. He just was powerful. He was the best. Go, and no, nothing else.
I had actually I wanted to stray a bit away from making my OC like me, but I decided to base my OC not just my insecurity, but the general feeling of insecurity and what it means to mankind. Like, he looks good, he's cool, he's laid back, he's fine on the outside, but on the inside he's very paranoid, he's insecure.
Interesting.
It's a very good idea, I have to say.
I tried to make a sort of human representation of the feeling, of, like, the hidden feeling of insecurity.
I see.
Nice.
Okay.
Or at least I tried to. At first I tried to make him, I primarily made him based off my own insecurity, which was basically my fear around sharper objects like broken glass, kitchen knives, things like that. I don't like being around sharp objects that much.
Oh, okay.
The only thing to be careful of with that kind of OC is you don't want them to be a fragile or really a glass cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ouch. Portland.
But yeah. Although I forgot what I was gonna fucking say.
I would say, for me, personally, is that because for my stories, I do include a decent chunk of OCs in them, just because I like to play around a bit more with certain stuff. But I just generally like to, what I like to do with them, say, I've created one, so okay, I will put it into the original, because mine's basically quite, I'll say it's based in the same area of the original, saying, would they fit in the actual show? If not, then they perhaps need to change somewhat to make sure they do fit better. And that process did take a while. I don't want to make them feel too. I know, feel like they don't fit well. It's like they would stand out like a. Just stand out too much. No, I want them to actually fit well enough into the world, rather than just I'll just create a character because I want to. No, they have to fit.
Yeah. I created a character to enter a third-party opinion and then fuck with the rest.
For me, I use a few OCs, and I usually look for what role do I want them to take, and go from there, build them up to feel as real as a character than the others that were already established.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
They just aren't just a name and whatever else. They need to have their own background, their own goals, and it's you need to be careful to not to make them just a plot device, but an actual character.
Yeah, it's don't just make them a cardboard cutout. Give them a 3D personality and make sure that they feel like they're an actual, not just a character, but a person as well. Just
yes,
make sure they the person doesn't have to necessarily relate to them too much, but just make sure they're interesting to be around and to interact with other characters and that.
Yeah.
Yes, for example, I have two OCs that basically I created to fill the spots that I didn't want to fill with already established characters, and they are a pair of brothers that in a few chapters they really grown into their own persons, that I really like them to banter, to have their own different sides to them, and they just complement well the story after a few chapters.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's
Hello?
Oh, hello.
I'm curious, guys. So there are certain characters who have extensive knowledge on this one topic. What kind of extensive knowledge do you think Kuro might have?
That's a good question.
Very good question.
Like, Xenon's all about guns, Kirito's all about video games. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh my god.
What was the problem?
Honest to God, I've been sitting here for the last 45 minutes trying to get this fucking thing connected again.
What was the problem?
I don't know, but you kind of sorted it. You know that thing we done a couple of weeks ago, the first episode?
Mm-hmm.
The issue we had with the audio where I had to go into a different server's channel.
Oh, yes, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but as I remembered it, oh, you know what, I'll go and try it.
And
It
it
seems
worked?
to have worked, at least for now.
This is what I was talking about probably about half an hour ago. That's this, but for some reason it refuses to connect to the voice channel. So go into a different server, connect to VC there, and then disconnect, reconnect to here, and then it works. I still don't understand how or why, but that's the thing.
This podcast is a disaster.
As always.
But it's a disaster like this, but it's not what
Technology.
I love it. Despite everything else. It's fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
So
thinking about like the biggest thing that you should avoid with an OC. I think at least in my opinion, the most important thing with an OC is to make sure that they don't overpower the main characters. Like if you want to play with an OC in a world that's already been built, that's not going to feel like the same world anymore because you've taken out the main characters. If you don't get that balance between the OC and the actual characters that were born in this world, it gets very difficult for the reader to actually feel like it's the same world anymore.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
That's sort of the reason why I also gave Kuro Ice, because Ice is powerful to be sure, but it probably doesn't really stand a chance against video. Like, video is something that can bring anyone's childhood fantasy to life.
Yeah.
And Kuro
Yay.
can just make a slushy.
Slush.
Obviously, he could do more than that, but that's just for the sake of the joke.
Yes.
Well,
Fine.
if I could make a slushy using my powers, then who gives a shit about the rest of them, right?
Yes.
Got an infinite supply of slushies.
Just who needs to have ultimate power to conquer the world? Now I just want my slushies.
Yeah, of course.
I want my Butterfinger ice cream, damn it.
Yes. I will choose ice cream over the word.
Oh, bingo! That's the extensive knowledge that Kuro should have. Sweets and how to make them.
Yes! Yes!
Using the ice and that to make the perfect ice cream and such.
Ice cream, slushies, things like that. Just dessert. Asa's good at cooking overall, but she can't beat Kuro when it comes to dessert.
There's like there could be like a side job or whatever, like in a little stand or whatever, selling ice cream and that and slushies.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, it's like for making sure OCs aren't too powerful. That's why from mine, for when the main OC of the my OCs or whatever, I specifically made sure that not only that they're not there technically, they are much weaker in other fields than the main characters, which are actually appeared from the actual show. Is that, but actually, when they actually came to a confrontation in 1v1, the OCs actually did lose because they're not as experienced in that field as the main characters, which makes sense. You can't just plug into a new game in 2 days. You immediately get the absolute master in it. So
only
Which is very odd.
unless you're Kirito, but that's the thing. The OCs aren't Kirito. They shouldn't just be another Kirito.
Bless you.
I'm gonna also make is that Kuro has a big sweet tooth.
Yeah.
That's just constantly feeding Kirito sweets.
No, Kuro has.
Yeah.
No, I heard you right. I was making a joke, but it's okay.
Wait, what was the joke? I barely heard it.
I'm just joking because you're talking about how she has like a big sweet tooth, and I was just joking that so she can make sweets for Kirito. She has a big sweet tooth too.
I said Kuro, not Asuna. Kuro's a guy.
I give up. Me, she, okay? Don't judge me, my genders.
Everyone has their preferences.
This is why I don't work with OCs.
Fair enough.
I work with them. It takes time for me to actually be able to recognize them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a really hard time reading OC related stories with sort of online because so many of them are just self inserts and reboots for the actual story. It's like if you want a story that adds in an OC, make it different, be unique. It's what'll get you both the attention you want as a writer for other people to read it, but also just because then it's interesting and other people want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, it's granted. Make it the sort of online, but because you've got your OCs in it, make it different enough so it justifies everything around it as well. Don't just retell the same old story just with a new person in it or whatever. Just try and do something more with it to make people interested in it.
Yeah. Haven't you heard of butterfly effect?
Yes. Always.
You do have the thing with Sword Art Online is it's a good platform or a reasonable platform to retell the story from a point of view of a self-insert character.
Well,
yeah, but the issue is with that it's not the same anymore because you're not.
Yeah. First, when it came to just SAO fanfiction writing in general, the first thing I did was make them curse. I've seen way too many fanfics where they treat cursing like an act of Satanism.
I think the first thing I wrote for Sorta Online was, it's actually in Little Moments. Like, it's the first chapter. I think this is the right one, where I think I have Asuna chasing Sinon, who's a cat C, and it's an ALO, and Asuna's like hallucinating. She's like delirious from some kind of, like, I can't remember exactly, but she's pretty much just chasing Sinon around, trying to catch her tail, which is hilarious. But,
yeah. But for
yeah,
me,
that's the thing. Because of the fact that Sinon's a cat C in ALO, I kind of wanted Kuro to be a cat person, but I feel like that'd be a bit overused.
Fair enough. It's one of those things. It's not. It won't be overused if done in an interesting and unique way. So it's granted you do the same kind of idea in the basis, but it's what you build upon the basis which matters.
Yeah. It's interesting, because my story is basically retelling the original story, but with a different character to focus on, and
My ability to spontaneously come up with ideas on the fly without even meaning to is scary. Like, sometimes my genius, it's almost frightening.
That's
So
enough
I
to
come,
be
up with I come up with the idea, Kuro is a cat person. But the reason he is because the only friend he had
You're both
for most of his childhood.
Hey, you don't need more than one meat. I would delete it. You don't need 3 versions of the same thing. What is wrong with you people?
The three sages work together as one.
As I was saying, Kuro is a cat person. But the reason that he is because a cat was the only friend he had for the first half of his childhood until it died.
Oh,
Well, that's just sad.
now you just made me sad.
Sad, but interesting.
You know what?
Yeah.
I've never seen any character be. I've never seen a character be a bird person, or a hamster person.
Commander
God,
Shepard.
now I want to make Kuro a bird person.
Yes,
But no, I'm sticking with the cats. Cats are good.
fair enough.
Cats are easy. So they are. They're easy.
But a cat girl is harder.
It's time for the smug face.
Top topic in this ever.
We are off topic.
But yeah, sometimes my genius is... It's almost frightening. Hold on, I'm gonna turn on my camera. That way you guys can see the smug face.
Time for the smug face.
Nice.
Time for the smug face.
There we go. Smug face.
Did you guys still want to talk about beta readers or no?
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Yes, but that was supposed to be what was supposed to be on it to begin with, but then that kind of fell apart. But
Yeah, we started with memes and then went into the fairy dance. Okay?
I think we should just not start with a given topic and just talk. Like, not have a topic planned. Just
We never have. We
It's
just
gonna have a little outline. A couple things you want to talk about.
yes, if we can direct more towards beaters and that, but in terms of like questions, in terms of what actually means to be a beta and how each beta does things differently, which should be interesting to talk about.
yeah, I always wonder that what does a beta do specifically?
Depends on the beta.
Yeah, it's like guaranteed we will have very different ways of doing it. So for personally, I don't focus as much on spelling now, which is generally why I do miss quite a bit of the spelling. But for me, it's in terms of the flow of what's been written, and also especially it's also why I ask generally before reading something, what context do I need before reading this? And if it's a chapter 5 or whatever, it's okay. What happens before this? Before I start reading it, so then so I just sort of get. Haven't you really reverse into the sports lorry? But yeah, it's and I just like if it, yeah, especially if that chapter or what they've written, if it fits into what they've created so far, and if the flow of it's right in that. That's how I focus on my betering. That's even a word, betering. Yeah.
Beta.
Yeah, just being a beta. Yeah, whatever.
You've
So
been
that's
beta.
how I do it.
It's beta, like I forgot what the freaking symbol is called. Well, it's beta. It's after that freaking symbol. It looks like a B. I forgot what it's.
You can beat it. Yeah, it's all Greek to me.
Yeah, it is Greek,
Yeah.
but it's beta.
So
Yeah, it really depends on the version.
Yeah.
I'm more of the kind of beta that you would see in me is I'm more of an editor. So I can do everything, and then you just tell me what you want me to be looking at in particular.
And then there are other stuff that I'll look at throughout the thing. So like if you want me to focus on characters, I'll focus on character development and telling you if a character is too flat or they're too soft or they're just, they're kind of blending into the background, or if and stuff like that. Things that you do well are kind of changes that I think need to tap into certain characters. Or if you want just knowledge on what you think the story is like, if something flows too well. I'm also really good at changing sentences, stuff that isn't quite worded correctly, or there's just a couple things that make it flow smoother. So
actually, now that we're on the topic of beta readers, I have been meaning to see if I could get more people on board with my story, because when I've written only one story that's not even SAO related. It was the Rising of the Fanfiction. It was a Rising of the Shield Hero story that I had written with my very close friend, Red Fist Cannon. It's called Killing Strangers. The writing quality was apparently so good. It was so good. It's got the highest follower favorite count on my list.
Good job.
And I was hoping that if I brought more people on board and had second opinions and things like that, I could bring that same sort of quality to code.
Well, that's things. If you have if you've got an idea and you start writing about it, and you think you want a second opinion on it, you would put it in the writing feedback, and then just maybe request. I'm guessing with the role of beta, tagging it.
If you like tag somebody so that we all would know.
Yeah.
And then you would use the @beta. That's like @beta without the space, or the @beta. What is it?
Beta plus author, I think.
Yeah. So, oops, that's the wrong thing. I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry. I got tagged. I'm trying to edit it, you darn thing. I hate this thing. Stop it.
Managed to tag yourself.
I'm actually not tagged in that. Because I'm a moderator.
Unlimited power. But yeah, that will be that will be the general way of interacting in terms of getting other people perhaps on board, just to have a quick read through, seeing what they think of it and give their opinion on it. Because generally, for me personally, if you get more people's opinions on something, you start getting a rough idea of how. Yeah, generally, it might be better just to get more people on it, just see what everyone's opinions are, and take that and see what's going on with that. So,
yeah,
and I've looked over code before. I have a couple issues with it, but I don't really understand the fandom that part of it comes from, and so I don't really mesh with it very well, just because I don't understand the fandom very much. So I guess it's not a problem for me to read a beta. It's just you'd have to understand that there is some stuff that I'm not going to quite get because I don't get it. If there was one thing I would say, I think that code needs a little bit more of its pacing. Its pacing is a little too haywire. It's a little too fast, but it's okay. Good story. It's a good story.
Yeah, which is why it's like, especially with going into stuff like with crossovers and that, that's why it's very specific in terms of other bits as well. Which is why not many people wouldn't imagine why that cut wides with it as well, because it does require people to know a bit about both sides of it as well. So,
well, after you beta read for Agent 94 for multiple months, you begin to realize that you're just going to have every reference fly over your head. It's not going to make sense, and you're just going to highlight it just to make sure it's just a reference and you're not actually missing something.
Fair enough.
Some random thing.
Just to quickly go back to code real quick. Was it yesterday, Talon? We're in the writing feedback. I think it was yesterday. Trying to figure out how to unlock Asana's powers or something like that.
Oh yeah, we come to the conclusion that in contrast to Kirito, who was forced to endure not being able to hear anything, but anechoic chambers are so weird. Like, they're the world's quietest rooms, and because of the fact that you can't, like, literally can't hear anything. The room is so quiet, it's below a decibel that humans can actually hear. So the frequency is all weird, and there's a very sudden mental imbalance and things like that. And it's so mentally taxing. But with Austin, I decided to go the opposite direction, in which case she would be hearing too much. Like, I was surrounded by speakers and then, bam, white noise. Get it to the point where her ears bleed.
But yeah, I think I spent about 2 hours on the infamous wiki, just reading up on like conduits and everything, in order to help Talon with his story.
Infamous barely has the hype that it used to have back then, especially when Second Son was published.
Of me doing writing like I was supposed to be doing.
Well, since we have 2 betas here, do you guys have any questions for betas?
Yeah, fire away. Go on.
You guys have any? I'm the beta.
I'm a beta as well, so...
Yeah, so do we have any questions from the other 3 here?
Yes.
What we do?
I think what...
Do you get a beta to read your own stories?
Yes.
Me? I don't. That's my opinion.
Okay. So I work with a very good friend, which we both beta each other's work. So, and occasionally I may send something over here just to for people just to clarify, saying if this makes sense or not, because I like to hear more people's opinions rather than just one. Even though I do really trust them, but I just like to hear more other people's opinions as well.
Wait, yes. That was a stupid question. I know you've got a beta. Your medieval SAO AU.
Casual.
He was the one.
That's a good question.
He was the one that said. Yeah, he was the one that said it wasn't unique enough or something to write about, right?
Oh yeah. Basically, I wanted to hear other people's opinions on the idea to say, okay, so that's his opinion on it. What can I do to make it better and that? So.
All the rest of us said it was a stupid opinion.
Basically, that was basically what we inferred out of that. So that's hence why even though I do really trust his opinion in terms of what he's saying, I like to hear other people's opinions as well, especially on bigger stuff like that. So.
Hey, we're all entitled to our own opinion. It's just yours is wrong.
Yep.
Basically.
Pretty much.
Sorry, Tiger.
No,
you were saying?
I don't have anybody beta in my work for the most part, mainly because if I revise anything, my word count doubles or triples, and I don't handle writing like 30,000 words a chapter, and I just mentally can't handle it. But along with that, I've been writing for long enough that I know exactly kind of just what wouldn't work or what does, and so I kind of just, I don't really need one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. My question is...
okay, hold on. So, Panzer said, me trying to write a chapter, click to see attachments, which is a reply. It was a reply to an attachment. I'm going to take a guess, and that was the GIF that Sage sent with the wrecking car. I was right!
Right?
Sometimes my genius is almost frightening.
Yeah, but basically, for me anyway, I'm not sure everyone else finds this, but it's always starting a chapter, which is always the hardest part.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so then you go like a paragraph in, and you just realise it's just gone off the rails. Right, I'm gonna have to start it again.
Yes. It's always...
It takes me about, I don't know, on average about 4 months to start writing a chapter, and about 2 hours to finish it.
Wow.
I will write a chapter from beginning to end, minus a few scenes, and those few scenes are usually what kills me. But I can write the beginning just fine.
Fair enough.
I get stuck on the beginnings.
Yes, it's always the
Like,
beginning,
I
the
got a
hardest.
chat. Like, I got a story idea I want to do. How do I start it?
Yes. How do I
My
bring
ex cutting
the
out.
right mood? How do I bring the right mood into the story?
Sometimes, if you listen very carefully, you can hear my genius. You're so stupid. That's a joke that my dad always liked to pull whenever he said that on that particular episode, because I used to watch a lot of Top Gear with my dad back when we lived together, and every time we would see this episode, and every time he said that, my dad would just whisper, "You're stupid," or something to that effect.
Wow.
or my personal favorite, just dumbass.
It's definitely a very good thing to watch with, I don't know, in an evening, just chilling and you just put on Top Gear.
Yeah.
Put on a
But no,
smash.
Top Gear with my dad is just, that was a good day.
Is there any other questions?
I've been sitting here with this tab open, the Madara Uchiha quote, and I wanted to voice it, but only when it suddenly became relevant. Like, only when my voice became relevant.
Okay. Well, is it? Oh, go on.
I figured we could do that for, like, the end of the cast. Like, how many hours has it been?
Clock over here.
So it's probably about
We started the podcast at 6. It's 8 a.m. now. We started at 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's our general length, though. So.
All right.
Technically, it's been about an hour and 15 minutes for me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you'll realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen, everywhere you go, in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as well. So long as there is a concept of victors, the vanquished will also exist. The selfish intent of wanting to preserve peace initiates wars, and hatred is born in order to protect love. There are nexuses, causal relationships, that cannot be separated.
Wow.
Well, bravo.
Nice work.
Very nice.
Well, should this the official ending of the podcast?
I'm sure.
That's it. We just end it there then. Okay.
Yeah, I thought we'd stay more on topic because of what the arc was about, but I guess not. Because we went
Dude, it's never gonna stay on topic.
I know, but I just thought because of all the things we could say about it, but apparently, we just move on to different stuff. But
No, we just move on to everything else.
no complaining because hey, it's very interesting. So
It was interesting, but yeah, I'm not surprised. I didn't really have high hopes that we could stay on topic.
Yeah, I didn't either. No, I knew for a fact we weren't going to stay on topic, and I was exactly right.
Yes.
Sometimes you can almost hear my genius.
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Who would have guessed?
I was planning on it anyway.
We're planning on it anyway. But wait,
We're planning on it anyway, but I will actually need to go back and listen to the 45 minutes or so that I missed.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I forgot that.
So next time it happens, remember to do the thing as said.
I will try.
Write it down, even if you really need to. Just have it on a piece of
Write it
paper.
down and just staple it to my wall or something.
Yeah. So
Staple it to my forehead. There you go.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
I'm
like,
gonna
Walk around, nobody having any idea what it even means.
yeah. Oh, he's gone. Talon's gone.
Oh yeah, we lost the man. We will remember his sacrifice. And I should start recording.